There was a time when India was not a developing country. It was the luxury store of the planet. Spices, gold, silk, diamonds. If medieval Earth had an Amazon Prime, India was it. And that was the problem. Let's be clear, India was not just doing okay, it was doing suspiciously well for a long time. Like that one friend who says, "Bro, I'm broke," but casually owns three houses and a farm. That was India. For centuries, it sat at the center of the trade routes, connecting east and west. If goods were moving across continents, there was a very high chance that they were passing through here. And if money was moving, it usually stopped here first. That sounds impressive, but it also sounds expensive. So why was India so wealthy? Nothing magical, just geography doing overtime. Fertile land, predictable monsoons, big rivers that actually show up every year. Farmers grew food, food created cities, cities created markets, markets created trade, trade created money, money created more money. And this was medieval passive income. And then came spices: pepper, cardamom, cinnamon, cloves. Europe was eating boiled meat with zero seasoning. Then someone discovered Indian spices, and suddenly food had flavor. Europe lost its mind. Pepper was so valuable that people treated it like an edible cryptocurrency. You could pay your debts with it. Imagine telling your landlord, "Rent is late, but I brought premium pepper." That was normal. It wasn't just Europe. The Romans loved Indian goods so much that they started sending gold here. Actual gold coins. Shiploads of them. Roman writers even complained about it. They were like, "Why are we sending all our golds to India?" Imagine your country finance minister panicking because people won't stop importing luxury products. That was happening 2000 years ago. Gold went out of Rome, goods came in from India, and India kept the gold. If ancient trade had ratings, India would have 5 stars. Fast shipping, excellent quality, would trade again. India wasn't just selling spices. It made some of the finest textile in the world. Soft cotton, light fabrics, cloth so smooth it made European material feel like emotional damage. Then there was steel, high quality, strong, reliable. Indian steel traveled far. Weapons, tools, trade goods. When your products are so famous across continents, you're not a side character in history. You are the main plot. And being the main plot comes with attention. Here's when things get interesting. When you become the global marketplace, everyone knows your address. Merchants came peacefully, they traded. They exchanged ideas, they wrote glowing travel reviews. But not everyone came for trade. Some came to collect. Because in medieval geopolitics, wealth was not admired, it was calculated. If a region had resources, someone somewhere was making a plan. And India had resources, a lot of them. Now, this part matters. India was not weak. It had powerful kingdoms, large armies, fortified cities, strong rulers. But there wasn't always one single centralized empire controlling everything at the same time. There were multiple strong kingdoms, separate administrations, separate priorities, separate rivalries. Imagine a luxury mall, every store is rich. Every store has its own security guard, but there is no central security system. Now imagine someone shows up with a bigger coordinated force. You see the problem? Fragmentation doesn't mean weakness, it means complexity. And complexity can be exploited. India also sits in a very interesting geographical position, connected to Central Asia through land, connected to the Middle East through trade, connected to the Southeast Asia through sea routes. It was not hidden, it was visible, and visibility was powerful. But visibility is also risky. If you are at the center of the global trade routes, you don't get ignored. You get studied, you get mapped, you get discussed, and then eventually you get visited. Wealth attracts movement. Movement attracts ambition. Ambition attracts conflict. And this is not unique to India. It happened in Rome, it happened in China, it happened in the Middle East. Power centers draw competition. The difference is scale. And India's scale was massive. Large population, strong economy, deep cultural roots. So when shifts happened here, the entire region felt it. When trade routes changed, people noticed. When alliances shifted, it mattered because the price was not small. Here's the ironic part. If India had been poor, no one travels thousands of kilometers to conquer empty wallets. You don't invade simplicity, you invade value. History does not punish weakness. Sometimes it tests success. And India was successful for a very long time. Successful enough to be attractive, successful enough to be envied, successful enough to be targeted. That's not an insult, that's math. It's easy to look back and ask, why didn't this stop it? But medieval warfare was not a strategy video game. There were no satellites, no instant communication, no national standing armies in the modern sense. There were alliances, rivalries, shifted loyalties, trade negotiations, and occasional bad decisions. Just like everywhere else in the world at that time, Europe fought constantly. So did Central Asia, so did East Asia. Conflict was normal. But when conflict happened in India, the world paid attention because the economic weight was heavy. So when people ask why was India invaded so often, It wasn't just about weakness, it wasn't random, it wasn't a mystery. India sat at the center of the global trade. It had resources, it had wealth, it had influence, and centers of influence rarely stay unnoticed. For centuries, India was not chasing opportunity, it was opportunity. And in human history, being important comes with consequences. But history isn't about kings, empires, and trade routes. It was also about the people doing the work. And some of those jobs were extremely bad for your life expectancy. So if you're curious, you might want to check out this video right here.